Bryophytes. Bryophytes are the plant group which are least evolved for life today. The two main groups of bryophytes are mosses and liverworts. Bryophytes have a thallus structure, lacking true roots, stems, and leaves. The dominant generation of bryophytes is the gametophyte generation. Bryophytes are also the only plant where the sporophyte generation isn't dominant. Bryophytes are restricted to live in damp and shady areas. This is due to the absence of a waxy cuticle, stomata, and conducting tissue. Water is required for fertilization because sperm can only swim over to fertilize the egg in wet conditions. Spores are formed in the capsule, and when the spores are mature, the clipture breaks off and the spores are released.
Pteridophytes. Pteridophytes have evolved much more than bryophytes, but are still reliant on water for reproduction. The main group of pteridophytes are ferns. Ferns are different to mosses as they have true roots, stems, and leaves, as well as vascular tissue. This allows them to grow into larger plants and live in a wider variety of habitats. Ferns can live in a wider variety of habitats because of the cuticles on their leaves, but they still need to be in cool, moist areas. Spores are produced by the sporangia in the sori, which is found on the underside of the pinna. When the spores are mature, they become even more red, and the sporangia opens up, and the spores fling out. Pteridophytes rely on water for fertilization as the sperm swims to the ovule in the water. Spores grow into a small, heart-shaped structure called the prothallus, where gametes are produced.
Gymnosperms. Gymnosperms are plants that bear naked seeds. They include conifers, ginkgos, and cycads. Gymnosperms have true roots, stems, and leaves. They also have well-developed vascular tissue. They live in a wide variety of habitats due to the incredible evolution of the plants. That being said, they mainly live in dry and cold environments. Gametes are produced in cones unlike angiosperms, where they are enclosed by fruit. Female cones produce ovules, and they are bigger than male cones. Male cones produce sperm, which are spread through wind and other pollinators. Male cones are smaller and longer in shape than female cones. Gymnosperms are not reliant on water for reproduction. They reproduce using naked seeds which are released from the female cones when they are mature.
Lastly, there is the most evolved and dominant of the plant species, the epitome of the success of evolution. There is no doubt we are going to be talking about angiosperms. They are the most developed of the plant species and are also known as flowering plants. Angiosperms are the most dominant form of plants on Earth. They contain vascular tissue and produce flowers and fruit. Angiosperms live in all terrestrial and aquatic environments on our planet. Flowering plants are completely independent of water for reproduction due to the process of pollination. The anthers, containing the male gametes, produce pollen grains. Pollen grains are transported from the anthers to the stigma through pollinating agents such as wind, birds, and insects. The sperm will travel down to the ovary and fertilize the ovules. The ovules developed into an embryo inside a seed, enclosed by fruit. The fruits protect the seeds and aids their dispersal. The sporophyte generation in angiosperms is dominant, and the gametophyte generation is reduced heavily.